Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakan Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And, I got some more news here, some updates. And, like waking up ain't seeming so bad in this place anymore, as every time you wake up, you're excited to check out what's going on around the world. What's next, what's happening, right? So this is from zerohedge.com, and it says 1 billion people at risk of power blackouts as global grids stretched. And I know we've been reporting on the blackouts, rolling blackouts coming in the summer, as they've been warning. But what made this interesting is when they said as global grids stretched, okay? As global grids stretched. Because why is this interesting? Well, once again, you have a problem that's now being globalized, a problem that's now being put on a global level. And before you know it, all of the problems are going to become world problems. All right. And so then, it forces countries and nations to stop thinking individualistically, right? And stop thinking about just their country, and now basically start coming together to form or implement or come up with world solutions to these problems. Okay, because that's they've they've introduced their move on a world level, and that's how they're going to start addressing things. All right, from a world level, world scale, that kind of thing. So just be ready for that. But it says here, this summer, power grids worldwide, hear that? Worldwide, won't produce enough electricity to meet the soaring demand, threatening more than 1 billion people with rolling blackouts. Grids are stretched thin by fossil fuel shortages, drought, and heat waves, commodity disruptions, and soaring prices due to the war in Ukraine and the failed green energy transition, where grid operators retired too many fossil fuel generation plants. Now, the thing about these rolling blackouts is in some countries, they're used to having these kinds of conditions, but that's not the case for every country. And in the more quote unquote advanced countries, not that there haven't been blackouts there before, but people haven't seen that on the likes of what, it's looking like they're going to be seeing soon. And that's going to bring a lot of discomfort, and a lot of, aggravation and just uncomfortability. Not knowing it's going to be hard for people who have, who know that when you turn on the light switch, the light is coming on. It's all good. All right. So that's going to be something, and hey, it's bad, especially in the heat. Okay, but it says here, combine this all together, and a perfect storm. That's another couple of key words to look out for. Perfect storm. Okay. A perfect storm of blackouts threatens much of the northern hemisphere. The power crisis, affecting a large swath of the world and top economies, could be less than a month away when summer begins on June 21st. So what are we going to do? We're going to watch and pray and see how this thing plays out. But not only is this the problem, as we've been talking about, food prices are going up, gas is going up. Oh man, it's a whole lot. Okay, it's a whole lot. And we did say it. Okay. This is it says regions that concern Bloomberg are Asia, Europe, and the US, where there's not enough power to go around when cooling demand is set to surge as households crank up their air conditions to escape the sweltering heat. And a lot of people are going to die of heat strokes, of when their ACs go out. They're gonna. I forgot. I'm not sure. I think it was maybe the Boondocks where there was an episode like that. I'm not. I'm not. I don't remember too much. But once that AC, it's super hot. And you got the AC on blast, and it just stops, and it's hot. It's so hot. People don't want to go outside. They want to stay inside and cool off. But then you can't cool off because the thing goes off. And there's going to be certain people that are not going to be able to take that heat, and they can't get out the kitchen. So they're going to be catching heat strokes. Now, with the way they're warning about it, I wouldn't be surprised if they use their technology to amplify that heat, make it hotter, increase the humidity levels, and just intensify things. Okay. So, hey, all right, hey, it's looking to be a real uncomfortable summer. And as let me read a bit more here. It says here, Asia's heat wave has caused hours-long daily blackouts, putting more than 1 billion people at risk across Pakistan, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and India, with little relief in sight. And that's the part that really kills people. When you're suffering and you hear something like that with little relief, little or no relief in sight, it's just, it makes the suffering feel that much worse. It says 6 Texas power plants failed earlier this month as the summer heat just began to arrive, offering a preview of what's to come. Oh, right, that's what I was saying. That I wouldn't be surprised if they, if they use that, that HARP manipulation to make things even hotter to actually, force that outcome. Because summers get pretty hot. Sometimes it feels like you literally step outside and it feels like you walked into an oven. Like there's just a hot, dense air that's just sitting out there. And if you fold your arms for like 2 seconds, you'll see sweat start dripping. Okay? Now imagine that. That's why the Lord said that he's going to cause the arrogancy to cease. So it says here, offering a preview of what's to come, at least a dozen U.S. states from California to the Great Lakes are at risk of electricity outages this summer. And you got to keep in mind with that comes, not just, heating and just lights. Hey, if the Lord has it that way, your water's going to get hit. Okay. Your refrigerator stops cooling. Your freezer stops cooling. And depending on how long they have it go on, certain of your goods that are in there, they're going to start going bad. Okay. They're going to start going bad. It says, power supplies will be tight in China and Japan. South Africa is poised for a record year of power cuts, and Europe is in a precarious position that's held up by Russia. If Moscow cuts off natural gas to the region, that could trigger rolling outages in some countries. All right, this was by Bloomberg. It says Bloomberg NEF analyst Shantanu Jaiswal says the combination of war and sanctions disrupting commodity markets, extreme weather, and an economic rebound from the CVPD boosting power demand is a unique situation that he can't recall the last time a confluence of so many factors happened together. As we noted in the beginning, it's a perfect storm of factors. All right? A perfect storm of factors, and is only going to get worse. These are plagues the Lord is going to hit this place with. Now, this is a tweet. It says, the world won't have enough energy supplies when sweltering heat boosts power demand this summer. and they mentioned climate change somewhere in here, okay, which is that boogeyman. It says blackouts threaten over 1 billion people with grids already stretched by war, drought, and fuel shortages. So now you're starting to see how all of this, and we said, look, this CVPD is a part of the plan. It has a purpose to serve. Okay, but the only way to really truly see this is when you're patient and you gotta get ahead in order to look back, in order to see the bigger picture. Okay. Now it says here, this is the article from Bloomberg. The headline of it from Bloomberg.com. It says a hot, deadly summer is coming with frequent blackouts. You know, when the sun goes down and the lights are out, that's not a good mix either. You know, so people better y'all better start changing your mindsets with that freaking we outside shit. You be outside. You know what? You be outside and and after sundown and the lights just go off everywhere. See if you're gonna get to come back inside. So it says here, Henning Gloystein, an analyst at Eurasia Group, warns if major blackouts spread across the world this summer, that could trigger some form of humanitarian crisis in terms of food and energy shortages on a scale not seen in decades. I'm going to read that again. Henning Gloystein, an analyst at Eurasia Group, warns if major blackouts spread across the world this summer, as we read, summer less than a month away, right? That hot girl summer shit, please, Lord, put an end to that. Please. It says that could trigger some form of humanitarian crisis, which is perfect for the elites, right? Mind you, in terms of what? Food and energy shortages on what? On a scale not seen in decades. That sounded like Jacob's trouble talk to me, but hey, let's wait and see. It says if the U.S. is any guide to the world's faltering power grids, as warned last week, regulators said half the country could experience blackouts from the Great Lakes to the West Coast. So the East Coast, you're dealing with diesel shortages. West Coast, you're dealing with blackouts. West Coast, you're dealing with water shortages, droughts, mega droughts. And then all coasts, you're dealing with food shortages and inflation. It says the reason is due to the lack of power generation and what? And a mega drought. The pattern across the world's power grids is fragility due to the lack of fossil fuel investments and the reduction of fossil fuel power generation plants as grids attempt to transition to cleaner and greener power sources. So what is this saying? This is saying that the reason this is happening now, and it didn't happen last year, it wasn't happening before, is because there's certain deliberate actions that have been taken that has now put the world in this position. And those actions are trying to transition from fossil fuels to, as they call, cleaner and greener power source. So when they tell you that, it's going to be painful, but don't resist it. You know, and we're going to need to be tough on this one. They know what they've done. They know why the power grids are so weak now. It's because of this. Okay? Alex Whitworth, an analyst with Wood Mackenzie, points out that as grids transition to green energy, the lack of battery storage when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow will create instabilities and more stress on grids at a time fossil fuel plants are being retired at a rapid clip. Once again, perfect storm. How convenient all these things are happening at this time to cause this outcome. You'll be facing a supply scare every time there's clouds or storms or a wind drought for a week, Whitworth said. We really expect these problems to get worse in the next 5 years. Interesting. It says Bloomberg provides a snapshot of the most strained grids that could result in massive power blackouts this summer. Okay, 1 second. Let me just come. All right, cool. So we start with the U.S., and it says supplies of natural gas the number one power plant fuel in the U.S., are constrained nationwide and prices are soaring. Power in much of the country and part of Canada will be stretched, according to the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. It's among the most dire assessments yet from the regulatory body. Consumers will be asked to step up to help keep the grids stable by curtailing their consumption. But people are not going to do that. In California, they were telling, look, cut down on your water usage, and they're not. That's why they're talking about getting them water police. It says, in California, the most populous state, gas supplies are clipped even further because of a pipeline rupture. Oh, man. Wow. A pipeline rupture last year that has limited imports. Plus, climate change is fueling drought. There you go, climate change. So climate change is really, if these calamities were like a track race, climate change would be coming from last place, passing everybody, damn near taking first place. All right, you just climate change. Oh, climate change moves to third place. Oh, and climate change passes hunger and is in the first, second, So keep an eye on that, because climate change, ask them, what is climate change? Well, climate change is whatever they tell you it is. Okay, it's fluid. It says severely curbing hydropower supplies. The California Independent System Operator said this month that the state may be at risk of blackouts for the next few summers amid extreme weather. On the 15 grid state operated by the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, or MISO, however you say it, consumers in 11 states are at risk of outages. MISO, right, which serves about 42 million people, projected it has insufficient power generation to meet the highest demand periods this summer, especially in its Midwest states. The grid has never before given a warning of this kind ahead of the start of summer demand. So are you starting to see what predicament you're really in? And hey, we started telling people, man, what you see now is the best you'll ever see it. It's only gonna get worse from here. We said that years ago. Said that before the CVPD. We said that during the CVPD. We saying that after the CVPD. And you're starting to see that you're hearing warnings of bad things coming, but these warnings are warnings that you've never heard before. Like, they're warning you of dangers that they haven't faced before. Once again, that sounds like Jacob's trouble talk to me. Jeremiah 30:7, Daniel 12:1. All right, Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13. Okay, and then in other scriptures. It says in Texas, the grid is still at risk of shortages despite the state's scramble to improve resilience after a February 2021 winter storm that left millions in the dark for days. Well, you better get ready, because this is going to be a little longer than days. And said Gary Cunningham, director of market research at brokerage Tradition Energy. And the thing is, the problem is, right, it's not just blackouts. See, in 2021, they were dealing with the blackouts, but you got blackouts, you got the MP, right, the monkey stuff. You got, they're still talking about this CVPD is going around. There's some subvariants infecting people at the border. Inflation is going up. The country's damn near in a recession already. Okay, layoffs. So do you see how? I mean, it makes sense why they call it a perfect storm, right? But that's why the scriptures say it's going to be as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him. All right, or he ran into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and the serpent bit him. Because you run from a lion is one danger. A lion, a bear, and a serpent can all kill you. Okay, just different ways. So a lion is one kind of beast, and just when you think you've escaped that, you run right into the other. And just when you think you're hidden from that, you get caught with the other. And if you notice in the verse, It says he leaned his hand on the wall for relief, right? That's why he leaned his hand on the wall. Whew, you know, I finally escaped. Peace and safety is what you're thinking. And then boom, you got bit by the serpent. It's not that you saw the serpent and escaped. No, you got. So just because you escaped the lion and you escaped the bear, you're going to get caught. That's why the Lord is sending plagues, because you're going to get got by one or the other. And 2 Ezra 16, it says that many that dwell on the earth, I believe it's 16 and 22, around there if I'm not mistaken, many that dwell on the earth shall perish of famine, right? Shall die of hunger, shall perish of famine. And those that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So just when you think, oh, well, I was able to eat, I got some food, there's another way of judgment that's coming for you. So don't worry. The Lord has numbered everybody to a particular judgment. And those that are not, written in the book, put it like that. So it says here, aging infrastructure and maintenance delays during the PD, right? The CVPD, have added to the problems of more severe weather, said Terry Viswanath, lead economist for power, energy, and water at CoBank ACB. The U.S. is experiencing more outages globally than any other industrialized nation, she said. About 70% of our grid is nearing end of life. Excuse me? About 70% of our grid is nearing end of life. And I'm sure summer is going to be able to tip it over there to that end of life. Okay? But there's this is a little bit. Well, let me actually read the last part. It says, if grids become stressed and break down this summer, it would be an ominous sign of things to come this winter. Uh-oh. Oh, shit. You thought you had it bad in the summer. Wait till the winter gets here. Now, I want to get this quick precept. Then I'll close it. This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 15, verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand. And it's talking about modern day Egypt, because at the time of Ezra being on the scene, this is way after ancient Egypt, or our ancient Egyptian captivity. All right, so it says here, verse 11, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, which means to deliver. He's going to deliver his elect. And what? And smite Egypt, which is this new Egypt, which is America, with plagues as before. And I will destroy all the land thereof. So that's how we know this is the modern day Egypt, because ancient Egypt's land was not completely destroyed. But what? It smite Egypt with plagues as before. And one of those plagues was what? Darkness. Okay? So, get ready. Actually, I'm going to read one more verse. Verse 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. So that's what we're getting ready to see. Okay, so it's looking to be a long, hot summer. As the Bloomberg article put it, a hot, deadly summer is coming with frequent blackouts. Maybe that's what I'll call this video. All right, so hey, with that, I hope you've been edified. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.